Hi, I'm Dennis, and in this video I'm going to share with you my predictions for the future of software development jobs. Welcome back. I think that there's mounting evidence that software development jobs are changing. I see this in two different ways. First of all, the generative AI tools are getting very sophisticated. The amount of code they can write across different APIs and libraries is really becoming quite impressive. I have spent some time recently with a couple of the GPT tools that are out there, and the code they can write is very interesting in how broad it can be. The second way I see it is that you are increasingly seeing keynote presentations or other discussions about predictions where software jobs aren't going to exist within 5 years. Personally, I think it's going to happen a little bit faster than that, really no more than 3 years. But there is an increasing overall pulse that indicates that software jobs really aren't going to exist. So if software development is something that interests you, it's important to start preparing now. What you should be preparing for is you should be preparing for a future where the skill is not in writing the code yourself. The skill is in using generative AI tools to create the codes and programs that you need. You may have heard me refer to this in other videos as the blank screen effect. There's really no reason for a lot of professions to start with a blank screen anymore when they're taking on a new project or a new client. Software development firmly falls into these categories. You should never start writing code from a blank screen anymore. You should start writing from where the generative AI tools left off. By the way, this shift is not unprecedented. It has happened in other industries. If you look at something like the finance industry and the trading industry in particular, trading is no longer about what a trader thinks the market's going to do. Traders now essentially babysit algorithms, where they do their actions based on what the algorithm says, or in some cases the algorithm trades on its own and the human is there for the times when when intervention is needed. Software development is headed down this same road. The industry will still exist, but it will be very much driven by algorithms. So how should you start preparing for this shift? Well, you should start thinking about yourself as two different things. You should start thinking about yourself as being a senior software developer and also a software architect. The senior developer side of you is going to be needed in order to review and edit the code that the generative AI algorithms will produce for you. So you will need to have a keen eye to be able to know when the code is functioning in a desired way or when it's not. And when it's not, what are the adjustments that you need to make? The second part, focusing as a software architect, is to be able to decide the different code components that you're going to need to begin with. You're going to need to have that high-level perspective that a good software architect has to be able to say, well, if I'm going to write this program, I'm going to need these 3 different screens, these different objects, and I'm going to need interactions in this way, and I'm going to need this API layer, and so on and so forth. You're going to need to have those high-level design skills to be able to dictate what the generative AI algorithm should create. When that code is created, you use your senior developer skills to be able to edit the code. To me, this combination of skills, the senior developer and the software architect, is going to become the entry-level job in software development in the future. So how do we develop ourselves to become a good senior developer and software architect? To me, this means that you're really focusing on object-oriented programming. you have to be able to think about the task that you want to achieve and then turn that into objects. And if you can determine the objects that you're going to need, again, thinking about this as a software architect, then you'll be able to determine the code that you need to ask the generative AI to create for you. This is going to accomplish a variety of different things for you. First of all, when you start thinking about items in an object-oriented way and become an object-oriented developer, you're really making that shift between somebody who just kind of tinkers around with code or works in notebooks and really elevates you into a professional developer. In addition to that, it will also get you to to make a shift from working in scripts versus working in programs. We tend to think about languages like R and Python as procedural languages. And while that is true, the languages, particularly Python, can still be very strong object-oriented languages. And when you start working in object-oriented languages, again, you're really making that shift into professional development. In addition to that, there is a ceiling that you will hit in the level of programs, the level of sophistication in your programs that you're going to be able to create with procedural scripts. To write really advanced programs, you are going to have to use Python as an object-oriented language. Keep in mind that during this process of writing programs, not scripts, and thinking about your code in an object-oriented way, what you're really doing is you're refining your own skills in how you think about code. And in turn, that's going to help you develop better prompting skills for the language models that you're going to use to write the code for you. So you're kind of backing yourself into the skills to become a better prompt engineer to ultimately have your generative AI also write better code for you. So making this mind shift is going to help you in many different ways, not just elevating your own programming skills, but elevating the way that you approach the LLM and the code that it gives you in return. So considering how sophisticated the current generative AI tools are, and how much they will improve in the future, this is how I see software development jobs in the future. You're going to need to be an architect. You're going to need to have object-oriented programming skills, and you're going to have the need, or rather the ability, to edit code. Not write code, but to edit. I hope that I haven't been discouraging in this video. That's not my intent. There is still a future for software developers. It's just going to be a different view than what you may have imagined or than what we've seen in the past. I'll see you next time.